Hello everyone again. This is a fault I've got. Well, it's my wife's car. So in a BMW, and it's there you go. It's the 5 Series. It's the E60 model, 2009, and this is the 2 litre diesel. It's automatic transmission. Though that makes much of a difference in this case. You can see there the instrument panel. What it says got in the clock. 49,000. Anyway, the problem we're having here is she got a warning. I wasn't actually in the car at the time. She got a warning message here to say that the battery discharge rate high or battery discharge rate abnormal, something like that anyway. So what I decided to do was I had a wee look, so I thought I'd scan it for codes. So you can see there, this is for the E60, so I've pulled it all up so you can see there, that's all the different modules that you can go into on the Veris. So I've actually went through them, all of them individually, because you can't, there's no a code scan on this. This is 14.4, but the only one I found anything in was the instrument panel. Let's see. Sorry, wait, I'll let you see the code first of all, and I'll tell you what our fault is. So you can see there, the instrument cluster power supply power switched off. So apart from that message appearing up there to say the battery discharge rate was high, the other symptoms was the, let me see, I'll show you, this, the CD changer, and its player sits in there within the glove box. So we heard that, we came out and that thing was twirling away and everything like that, was trying to load the CD back and forward, so we disconnected that. She actually hasn't had the message came back up since we just pulled the CDs out. But other symptoms are the fan. It's actually working at the moment, but she says when she's got that high, sometimes it goes low and then it kicks back in eventually. And that's, I know when you're on the auto setting, that sometimes controls your fan speed, but that's not doing it. The other symptom she was saying was actually the instrument panel lights. They sometimes, their lower illumination are a bit dim, and even though that I think it's one of them, they're up high. So I can't think there was any other symptoms she said apart from that message, and let me think, I don't think there was anything else. But as I said to you, that was the only code that I could find. It was in the system, but if we then go back, wait, I'll try and lock this on here. Keep this. We'll go into data. There's actually, all it has there is terminal 15, so that's obviously ignition supply is on, and terminal R is at the run. Let's start this thing up, see if there's any changes here at all. So you can see the voltage up the top there. Well, that's the tank sensor. So it just actually says this voltage is on or off, so it'd actually be better if I actually gave you a reading. So what I'll do in this situation, I think we'll go and try this Autel tool here to see if we get any more on that, and I'll come back to you. 2 seconds. So this is a little Autel tool carrying out a code scan, and I can just see that's the one for the instrument panel. It's popped up again. I can't see any other faults on that over there. There's one for the pattern distance control, light module. Oh there, that's far better. Anyway, so we'll just go in. We're going to have a look in here. Sorry about this light here. It's quite a sunny day actually, which is unbelievable. So reading codes. So it's saying that's not present. Instrument cluster, instrument panel power supply switched off. So we'll see what its freeze frame data says. So see power supply 1220, so that's like, does that try to just tell us it's slow voltage when it's having, it should be like 14 volts, I don't know. Let's escape back out of that, escape back out of that. Let's see live data, see if this gives us any more. Terminals, I imagine it's in there. So that's just exactly the same, on and on. Let's go general. present. So I think that actually gives you much the same data as the snap-on machine gave us. So there's not much present in there. Let's keep going then. Escape out of that. Let's go along. See if there's any other fault. Oh dear. I hate this thing. Sometimes it keeps launching into the... Oh dear. Let's speed this down a bit. That's worse. When you touch your finger along this, it keeps sometimes going into other modules. Let's see. PDC, what do I think that? We'll have a look at that. It seems to be one fault in there. PDC K-CAN higher wire. K-CAN high wire fault. Not present at the moment though. Let's have a wee look at that code there. Fault entry outside temperature 1.5 frequency. I have no idea what that means. That's at the bottom of the list, and you've got to then move this wee thing into there. Read codes. See what code comes up for this. No message Lin. Right light side. Not present. Escape it. Here we go. Move that thing back up there. Sorry about this camera, what I said, murder. Into this module. So CID internal control unit fault. And is that a CD changer? This is getting worse. It's the light, sorry. What module was it in there? So we're in the central information display. I would imagine, is that the central information display? And then the last one we can go into here is this integrated automatic heating air conditioning module. I'd imagine this maybe gives something about the fan speed. Temperature control knob right. So there is only one temperature control there. Let's see if it's not getting any. I thought. Oh there it is. It is actually changing. That's at full speed. That's at half speed. 130. And that's at off. It goes to 1, so that must be the various duty cycles at that fan speed. So as you can see there, that is the only thing I can find on this car. Was a power supply issue to the instrument panel. So I think we'll have a check of the wiring diagram and see what else I can find. The engine running at this point, so you can see there that the fan control wheel, so I've got it at half, but if I actually put it to full, you see it goes to stage 9, and if I put it off, it goes back to, let me see, wait, 1.000. I'm sure in the snap-on it just goes between 1 and 9, but I'm sure stage 9 is the top. There we go. So what I really need to do is, when this thing's having the issue, is to have the scan tool on it to see what's happening to it. So you can see that input is okay on that. So when you went into, just poking about in all the different modules, and I went into the CAS. Now I think that's the security and what do you call it, the locking module, but you can see there's other bits of information in here too. So terminal 15 1, so that's ignition switched live. Terminal 30 E, G and L, that's permanent live. Terminal 50, if I can remember, that's the starter. And terminal R, I don't know what that is. And there's other ones up. Terminal 15, wake up ACC, don't know what that is. And PT can. There was PT can, something to do with that. I may be wrong, but I think it's maybe something to do with this. That intelligent battery monitoring system. Maybe wrong. I think I've seen a video on that once, but we'll crank this thing over and we'll just look for anything that's a bit abnormal. So that's the car now started. PT cans at 11.44, 13, climbing. I don't know, see that? Wake up ACC 0.13. Don't know. And you can see the ones down the bottom there. That one, the current terminal 50L, that's in amps. So stop the car again. And we'll crank this thing over. See if we get a reading on that. Well, there you go, 11 amps. You think if that's a starter motor, it's going to be well up, but I think 50's starting current. Anyway, so I'll show you. I'll stop recording there. We'll go back. That's in live data. As I say, that's in the car access system. I wonder if that helps the jigsaw. The puzzle, sorry. The jigsaw. So I'm going to look in the book because that's where that intelligent battery system sensor thing is. Have a wee look at that, see if I see any moisture or anything like that, because I did read online these can be problematic and cause symptoms to what I'm getting. So I'll let you see into that bit. Here's me in the boot or the trunk or whatever you call it in your part of the world, and this is this thing I was telling you about here. It seems to be a problem. So it's this thing here, it monitors the battery. So I've had a quick look at this one here and everything. There you see it. It's actually written on the top there. Let's see if that focusing. IBS. There you go, IBS. So that can be problematic. Intelligent battery sensor. So what we do is so anyway, here's the next bit of the video. I contacted my good friends on YouTube, the channel called Crank, and they're BMW experts. So through the chatting, the guy said to me at Crank that check the battery. First of all, because that can actually be problematic, but does not give you any warnings on the instrument panel. So I decided to go for the picoscope here. So 2 channels. Channel A is my battery, and channel B here is my amps clamp. So this bit here actually, this is me zeroing my amps clamp. So you can see there, the battery, this doesn't look too bad, at 12.32 volts. Now, bearing in mind, as soon as you open the doors in a BMW, that it wakes up the module, so the can high, can low, everything, even without the ignition on, it comes live. So it's at 12.32 volts. So this bit here is where I turn on the ignition. I don't crank it, I just turn on the ignition. So we'll go in and I'll show you this, but this is quite interesting. So if you go into this little bit here, we'll just go for the amps at the moment. What's happening here when you switch on the ignition, that pattern is actually the draw of the glow plugs. So the glow plugs on this engine, in fact I think most BMWs are pulsed, so that's showing you activity there, and that's the glow plugs being pulsed. Now let me see how many amps they're pulling. So let's take that kind of average there. So that translates into about 60 amps. That thing will be pulling when it's pulsing the glow plugs there. So that's actually a quick way of checking to see if you've got glow plug activity. Is first thing in the morning is put a scope on it and check you're getting activity for your glow plugs. So that's that bit there. So we'll now go to the next screen. So this is the bit where I crank it over. Now I've only got a low amps clamp, and it can only pull up to, I think it's about 250 amps at the 80 amp range. So it peaks out. So this thing cold cranking about 400 amps, I think. So the other thing you can see there is, what did I get down to here? Now this is its peak, and a multimeter wouldn't show you this, but I'm dropping down to 7.5. But when the car's actually, see this bit here would actually be when the car's cranking over. Let's go in a wee bit here. So I can average there. There we go. 9 volts. So it is a little low. I would say it's a little low, right enough. But it is on a cold engine. So there you go. That's it cranking over. And as the car starts to idle, the voltage goes up to 14.9. So I think that's not too bad. And when it goes back into the battery, so rather than taking it out, you can see the figures now going positive. And that's saying it's putting in 19 amps. But that should calm down. Let's keep going along. I think we disconnect the battery. The lead falls off. So that's 19. What are we doing about now? 9 amps as we get along the trace. And 9 amps going back into a battery. I always went with after maybe 10 minutes it should be under 20 amps, so that looks good. And let me see if I do anything else in that trace. That's me going for a second crank. So the second crank of this, see we got down to about there. So that's on a warmer engine, 10.31. And again the amps go right away down. But I like to have my amps clamp as anything but, anything below the line. That's amps getting taken away from the battery, and anything above is power going back into the battery. So that battery checks out, I think, pretty good. But what I did do, I went and checked the receipt how old this battery was, and it'll be 5-year-old in March. So it's well past its sell by date. So what I decided to do was just go and buy another battery, and lo and behold, I'll show you the new figures. But that has solved all problems. All the symptoms have disappeared. So we're getting to the point now. The battery may check out all right on your test equipment, but if the computer doesn't like it, or maybe it thinks it's too old, it's going to give you funny symptoms. It's time to change the battery. So that throws another curveball at you. That oh dear, it's getting worse by the minute. But I'll show you the next waveform from the good battery. Battery, register replacement battery. This is a stupid thing, man. Go to here. Tool. I had a wee look for this. Is the battery replacement. So you can go into the history. So if a different battery capacity has been replaced, blah blah blah. So you can read that at your own leisure. But here we see. Here's a bit of what currently registered capacity is 90 amps an hour. That's correct. The last battery replacement was 38,000 kilometres, so that'd be right. I bought this car about 20-odd thousand miles, so that doesn't seem to be the problem. So, so it's only had one replacement battery, but at least that's been registered, so maybe it's just a bad battery. That's me got a new battery for this car. This is me just disconnecting the old one, so it's a 10mm here, and I've put the new cover on for disconnecting for the battery. I've bought exactly the same battery again. It's a Bosch 95 amp, and the way you disconnect this one is, you know that connection there, it's this wee 10mm connector. So I'll disconnect that. What I do here is a little drain off pipe. You take that out of the battery, but the way I done it, the battery just slides along there, so once you just slide it along, that thing pops out as well. Waiting for the new one to be replaced. I said to you before, with that little pipe there, it goes into the side of the battery, and that's a negative one with that. Watch this thing, this might be quite delicate, the battery sensor, so probably better a two-man job when you actually do this. You take it out, but there you go, just put the new one in now. So what you have to do now, once you change your battery out, is go and change. Oh dear, cannot read. Let's see. Better hit a read first, I think. That'd be better. You've got to register the battery, so I'm doing it on a little hotel. You can do it on Snap-on, various other scanners. So, but you must tell it it's got a new battery in it. So these bits are okay. It's an E60. So see, there's the voltage of the battery up there, 12.12. Wait for this to load. It's got to go through. I just load up some of the information. You can see here actually, disconnecting the battery. I've lost the clock and everything like that, which is to be expected. So I need to reset that. Here's the scan tool loading up. I think in this we go to hot functions. There we go. Battery. Register battery replacement. Go to number 2. Register battery replacement. The battery change is entered into the DME DDE, so it's DDD, so it's digital diesel control, that is. Produce the following state: engine off, terminal 15 on, so we'll have terminal 15 on. Well, let's see, we'll press the button again. That's it off. I would imagine that's terminal 15 on. Right. Important entry cannot be cancelled. Currently registered capacity is 90. Now that one was actually 95, so enter the battery. So we'll go for this too. We'll say it's a higher capacity. Maybe it's not got 95, right? Is it with a higher load with a lead? The load can only be charged with the correct capacity stored in. Matches carry it forward after it. Don't know about that. You can read that yourself. Is the newly installed battery an original BMW component? No. So let's see. The battery was carry the form. Continue battery. Oh dear me, what's happened here? We'll go to history here. So it's registered it. So that said it was currently registers at 90 amp an hour, and that's what the other one was, registers 90 amp an hour, but it was actually 95 amps, so could that be a problem? I don't know. I said go to Progman or something like that. We'll just leave it at that at the moment, till somebody chimes in, they can tell me what they think. Oh. So here we go. Here's the new battery being installed, and it's sitting at 12.32, and the amperage, let's see, 6 amps coming out of the battery. So when we go to crank it, see, that's the cranking bit there, about 60 odd amps there at that point there, but as you see again, the amp clamp's not good enough. And then we'll go back up. So when the car's actually running, voltage goes to 14.65 up there, and the amp's going back in, let's see, 16 at this point, and we'll go along, bring it down, there you go, to 10 amps, and the voltage kind of keeps the same. Let me see if that anything else I can see here. Roughly the same. So it could be 6-7 amps. I'll show you another meter, but as you can see, there's actually not much a difference here, so it's quite hard to diagnose when you need a battery. But I'll show you on the scan tool, you can actually check when the battery's been last replaced. So here's a little check. I need to work out how I can change the capacity of that battery, but I'm just checking the heater and blower. So that's it working full pelt, so that's good. Put the lights on. and they've came up fine, so that has resolved the fan issue anyway. But if anybody installed and you can hear the engines running, you can actually see the battery is taking in about 7 amps. So that's actually what's going back into the battery. I can't even remember seeing negative. I need to have a look at that, but the load's currently not going. It's a bit lower than before. So anyway, I think we've resolved this issue with slow blower motor and intermittent dash lights. There's the scope capture still running, so we'll review that as well. Cheers.